If your little lady dances, kick her in the dick until she prances. Anyways, so I want to talk about Alien Covfefe. In fact, you can hear the main menu music in the background, and I hope it's not too loud. I'm not going to get up, so you have to deal with that. But well, first off, I watched Prometheus right beforehand. I kind of fell asleep through half of it. Now I've seen it before, so I am going to say that Prometheus, the opening shot is really good, or the opening shots, I should say, are very good. I liked it right up until it got to the point where you started dealing with the crew. Everything leading up to it, I thought was actually really good. Like, I was kind of into it. And they started doing this stuff with the crew and the old man and whatever. It went off the rails midway. But the opening sequence I thought was really good. Like the first, I don't know, maybe first hour, first 45 minutes to an hour, I thought were okay. They weren't bad. And there were a few concepts that were interesting. Now, I'm trying to grasp this backstory because now I didn't quite get it. Well, I did, like I said, I fell asleep through the midway section of Prometheus, but I was under the impression that the people who created human beings now I don't know where the alien virus thing came from. Is it something they created, or was it something they found and it just became a plague? I didn't quite get that. I'll have to look that up because I didn't quite get that. I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know how I feel about that. Because the whole thing... Oh, God. See, the problem is... But I don't even know where to begin. This is going to have to be a spoiler section for Covfefe, Alien Covenant, because I can't just beat around the bush and not say what I need to say. So, those fucking AI, dude. That stupid son of a bitch. I mean, when it's revealed what he actually did, forget what he did in Prometheus. When it's revealed what he did in Covfefe, Covenant, I call it Covfefe because it's funny. Alien Covfefe. The guy is a son of a bitch. He's a literal son of a bitch. I'm not totally getting his motivation. Although they did have a scene where he's talking to his father, his creator, and he's like, "You made me, but who made you?" And the father character is like, "That's the great mystery." So then he goes on and wants to create himself and be a god. And then he comes across this pathogen, and he starts creating these hybrids and shit. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about all that. Because Covfefe sets up for the original trilogy, which is okay. Now, I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know, man. It's weird. It's like they're telling a part of a story that really didn't need a story. It's almost like Rogue One. It's a story in the mythos, but it didn't really need to be told. Because the problem with Rogue One is, A, it's a throwaway story, and with the exception of like the beginning and the end, the whole middle section is nothing but a throwaway story. So I have mixed feelings about Rogue One. I didn't hate it, didn't love it. I liked the fact that they did it, but it didn't really do anything for me. This was kind of like that because it's... Although it's not... This wasn't technically a throwaway story like Rogue One was. This was more... Because obviously there's like a history there. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about Covfefe. I really... I don't think it was as dramatic visually as Prometheus. I liked the visuals of Prometheus. I thought Prometheus could have been a really, really good movie. It could have been a really phenomenal movie. It just, like I said, it went off the rails about midway. When you start getting into the actual crew, that's when it falls short. And then some of the stuff at the end was just kind of like way out there. And then you find out what he did to Shaw, or whatever her name is, the original crew member from Prometheus. Holy shit! Holy shit! I wasn't sure what they were going to do with this, because there was a lot of backlash from Prometheus. So I wasn't sure what they were going to do with Covfefe. Were they going to ditch that idea from Prometheus, ditch that completely, and get into more of an alien-centric movie, which they did. But I kind of like that they continued, even though I don't really know if I like how they set up the initial story, that it, instead of the pods, you got the, I don't know, the spores. Because when I've seen Prometheus a couple times, and I didn't actually get it at first. Apparently, whatever that goo was, that black tar, when the atmosphere hit it, it started to melt, and it went on the ground, and it created, or there was the worms. There was worms there, because you see the one dude, he steps, and they show his footprint, and you see the worms crawling around, and the worms got into that black goo. And then I think one of the first crew members to die was because of those mutated worms. Now, I love the idea that the aliens can take on a mutated form of whatever they take on. And it's a different variant. I love that idea. It's almost like a bastardized version of what was originally there. It's almost like Satan created the dinosaurs concept. I love that idea. I mean, there's some really cool concepts that they're doing here, but I don't know if I like where it originated from versus where it went, because it was kind of a gap there. Even in Covfefe, basically he's like, oh, I did all these experiments and I came up with this really great variant of it, and he's like, oh yeah, look inside, look at the pod. The pod opens up, and of course the guy puts his face in front of it like an idiot. I don't know. I didn't hate it. I definitely think it was slightly better than Prometheus. It just wasn't visually stunning like Prometheus was. Like, again, Prometheus had a really cool level design. I don't know. I liked Prometheus better in that regard, but as far as like just overall story, I think this story was a little more cohesive and a little better collectively. I mean, it did nothing new. You know, settlers on a ship. They, you know, something happens. They get stranded. They go to this planet. You know. I mean, the story was not innovative in any way, shape, matter, or form. It was not. So, yeah, that was a little disappointing. I didn't think, watching the whole sails of the ship open up, it was kind of cool, but it definitely wasn't on the same level as Prometheus, as far as just visually. This was more of a down-to-earth version, where Prometheus felt more... It felt more otherworldly. It's almost like Riddick, Like you watch Pitch Black, and it's like, okay, this is kind of cool. They're on a planet, and there's these weird bat things. Okay, cool. But then you watch Riddick 2, Chronicles of Riddick 2, and it's like, there's all this mythos, there's this magic shit, these weird creatures, and the whole universe is completely foreign to what we know. Because, like, Pitch Black could fit into our universe without any problems. Like, it basically, you're stranded on a planet, and there's these things that come out at night and kill everybody. Okay, cool. But then you go into the sequel, and it's a completely, like, different direction. It's no longer in our universe type of a deal. It's in this magical universe where this weird shit goes on. This was kind of the same thing, where the original Alien trilogy is more down to earth, more gritty, more, we went to space, we found aliens, they wanted to kill us. This is more, those aliens existed, and there's a bunch of bullshit, and an AI fucker robot piece of shit son of a bitch, and he has motivations to want to kill everybody and create these monstrosities. You know, I do like the idea that the aliens only go after flesh. They do not go after, like, synthetics. I thought that was a cool little nut. I thought that was an interesting little tidbit of information. So, yeah, again, I thought that was really cool. Because one of the things they made reference to when they first got on the planet of Covfefe, there was no birds, no animals, no nothing. And I thought that was kind of cool. That was definitely an interesting little moment. But then you see what happened, and you see, like, all these charred bodies and all these fucked up bodies and stuff. And that was one of the cool things in Prometheus, is when they find the body that got trapped inside the door, the head's on the other side. I thought that whole sequence was really cool. You see the hologram, and the guys are running. The alien dudes that are humanoid were running away, and then you realize that they were running from something, you know, and it's like, what the fuck? And I don't know, there was definitely some cool moments of Prometheus. There was some really interesting concepts and cool moments. But like I said, it did go off the rails. Where I don't think this one went off the rails as much, I just don't think it was very innovative. In fact, it didn't really add anything to the genre, personally. The whole collective of aliens. I mean, again, you look at the original Alien trilogy, and they were unique. They were different, you know. Especially at the time, where this one I don't think really, it didn't add anything to it. It added nothing to, it really wasn't that original of a story. I'm kind of disappointed on that. But again, I mean, what else are you gonna do? You're on a colony ship, and the colony ship, you know, basically crash lands. Of course, there's got to be a storm, so the communications are out. It's like, we've been there and done that a million times before. I don't know. That to me was really kind of weak. The narrative of the story is very weak as far as just the overall story beats were very weak as far as just what they are. I mean, the story beats themselves were okay as far as, like, the movie goes, but as far as just plot points, really weak. Again, we've seen that stuff 100 fucking times. Now, one of the quotes on the case is, I don't remember who quoted it, but they said something to the effect of, you know, it was something like, this is good. This is as good as, like, it's almost like the original kind of a deal. They were comparing it to the original. I don't know if I compare it to the original. I mean, the original for the time was very cool. This, I don't know. I don't think the woman was very good. And she was okay, but none of the characters were unique. They were nothing interesting. Like, you look at the original crew, they were interesting. These people were not. I really could care less about any of them. I cared more about some of the crew on Prometheus than I did this crew. So, but that's okay. I mean, you don't necessarily need to fall in love with every single solitary one of them, but you know, there are some mainstays that are of the original crew, and even in 2, and hell, even in 3, that you remember. Hell, I'll even say 4. You even remember some of those guys. The dude in the wheelchair, you know, and what's his name? I mean, there's definitely some interesting shit going on in even those, but Covfefe, the characters, like I said, just really didn't have much. There was like nothing there. I really didn't care about any of them. You know, the captain dies. And the other guy takes over. Then the girl takes over. It's like there was really nothing there to grasp, to hold on to be like, oh, I care about this character. If the entire crew had died, nobody would have given a fuck. I think about the only one that I really had any mild interest in was the he wasn't the captain, but he was captaining. He was the captain of the ship. He was flying it, and he was I forgot what his name was, but he's worried about his wife. And then he finds out about the wife. Obviously, she didn't make it. He's about the only one mildly that you kind of maybe sort of give a damn about. The rest, pfft. I mean, that woman is no Ripley, I'll tell you that much. Not even close. I mean, you crop her hair and make it short all you want. That ain't Ripley. That's not even a poor man's Ripley. Does she have potential? I don't know. Her hair annoyed me. Just the hairstyle itself annoyed me. I don't know. It's just she didn't do anything for me. None of them did, actually. None of the acting really stood out. I don't know. The whole thing was just... The cast was very mediocre. Not that they were necessarily bad, but they were definitely mediocre. None of them stood out, like I said. So, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about the movie. I really don't know how I feel about it. I like the revelations that it made. I thought that was kind of cool. I almost half expected them to set up Alien 2, where like the colony and shit with Newt. I almost half expected to see like a little pod with, you know, the name Newt on the side of it or something, and there's a kid in there or something. Now, I don't know how that would work. I don't know the time frame, but I almost half expected to see something like, or like some sort of nod to that, her parents or something. Oh, like she may be one of the embryos or something, or her family or something. I don't even think they were both. I think it's like another generation or something. But whatever. So yeah, the son of a bitch put the alien DNA or whatever you call it in with the rest of the stuff. So I'm assuming that was like a terraforming cabinet. So they're gonna plant that shit or whatever, do something to it. And so you're not going to have aliens take over that fucking colony. But in the original Aliens, there was that big, like, monster, whatever it was, when they're going through the ship and you see that big creature. What the fuck was that? I really wish they'd explain that. That's what I want to know about. Now, was it supposed to be these weird little bulbous head alien dudes that were supposed to be us, or, you know, they had the same DNA as us? Is that who they were? These guys were, they were big, but they weren't that big. Not as big as that thing. Or is that like a whole other race? Yeah, I don't know. I didn't really get that. I want to find out more about them sumbitches. So the third one, or the next one, whatever the next Alien movie is, it has to set that up. I want to see that ship that they found in the first one. I mean, if they did that, almost like in Episode 3 of Star Wars, where it like really sets up to the next moment, where you see them going through the ship, I think that would be a really cool way to tie it in. That way actually wouldn't be a bad little trilogy when you think about it. Now, how David's going to play into the next one, I don't know. But yeah, I don't know how I feel about the movie. I want to be overly critical because I just do for some reason, but I didn't hate it. Now, like, I didn't hate Prometheus. I really didn't. And there are definitely some high points to Prometheus. There really are. It just collectively kind of went. Where this, I don't think really did that. I don't think it went at all. I mean, but it didn't have the same impact though. Like Prometheus had a good impact, like just visually, so on and so forth. It had something. It didn't deliver on everything, but it did have something. Where this didn't feel like it had much of anything. It felt more generic, like I said earlier. It felt kind of, but not in a bad way when I say generic. It just didn't stand out. I don't think it's as good as the original Aliens, or Alien, I should say. I don't think it's definitely not that good. Did it have moments? Yeah, I mean, it did have moments, but not even the same way as Prometheus did it. I don't know. It's just, I don't know. I will say it will be hard to kind of go back to the original trilogy because it's so dated, and just the technology and everything is just so 70s. It's like Star Wars. You go from what was it? Rogue One, and you see Vader kind of rolling around. Or no, No, it was Rogue One. It had to be Rogue One, where he comes through the door of the ship and he's like doing all this jiu-jitsu shit, like swinging the blade around and stuff, and the lightsaber, and swinging the fucking thing around. And then you see him in the original trilogy, and he's just limp dicks and like, not really doing much. That was a really weird transition. Like, this series is definitely going to be a transition. There's going to be a real serious transition between what is now the new stuff and the old stuff. I really wish they could almost redo some of that stuff in a way. Now, obviously, you can't do the characters and the actors and stuff, but I don't mean redo it that way. It's just I kind of wish some of the computer stuff was a little more dated, And quite frankly, the acting styles are completely different too. I don't know, it was just something about the way they acted back then, the lighting and everything back then versus what we're seeing today, where stuff is more, I don't know, it's weird. It literally feels like this stuff, like this world that we're living in now is HD, or the stuff back then was, not HD, you know what I mean? It's like everything was kind of blurry and kind of gritty and grainy and kind of, and just the film quality and just, I mean, the ships were kind of, They were cool, but not really anything to write home about. Like, I think these ships, Prometheus and this one specifically, were fairly decent design-wise. I kind of like the ship in this one, the little bits that you do see of it. Now, I don't necessarily mean the outside design, but I'm talking like the interior, like, running around the corridors and stuff. But yeah, the whole movie was just paint by numbers. Like, oh, we got to shut the doors behind, and corral it out and then shoot it out into space. I mean, when did we see that last time, you know? So, I don't know. I really don't know where else to go with it, because that, I think, is what annoyed me the most, is it really did nothing new. It basically retread old ideas that had already been done and done very well, and this was just kind of mediocrely done. Not that the movie's bad, I'm not saying that, but I mean, it's almost beat for beat on some areas. I did like it was a little more fast-paced. I think the original one was a little too slowed down. But the reason it was slowed down is because they were basically on the ship. Where this, you know, they were on the surface, and then they got on the the lifeboat thing. They're going back to the main ship, and then they're on the main ship. So obviously all that stuff, you're not going to sit there and do 45 minutes them running around with flamethrowers and stuff, or they did in the original. So I like how it was a little bit fast paced, especially when they got to the ship, because it was like the movie was getting a little long, and they didn't really dwell too much. I do like the pacing. I like how it went really fast. They realized it was there. They're like, holy shit. You know, and they started closing down the doors. And again, they didn't do a lot with it. They didn't need to. That was what's good about it. Or the original had to, like I said, because they were basically on the ship. What else are you going to do, you know? Like 1 and 2, you were on the ship. For the most part. So, yeah, I don't know how I feel about it. I mean, collectively, I think it's better than the sum of its parts. Let's put it that way. I think the sum of its parts were very mediocre, and like I said, had been done numerous times before. And not even just alien movies. I mean, a lot of movies like that have the same concepts in it. So this was, like, again, the storm. They couldn't communicate. I don't know. It's just really, in that sense. Or at least Prometheus had some cool moments. Like watching that dude at the very beginning drink whatever it is he was drinking, and then, burst into shit and fall into the water, and you realize he's seeding the planet. Then he just dropped off to seed the planet or whatever. So I don't know. That was kind of interesting. That was a cool moment where it's like, okay, what are these guys and what are they doing? There really was none of that here. There was none of what are they doing? Who is he? Oh, there was this one fucking part. Okay, so they land the little lander. The two guys get infected by the spores. The one guy dies and a little alien thing pops out. The other guy's on his way back to the lander. And he's sick too. He's about ready to burst. Then the dumb bitch is running around trying to get the shotgun, slipping in the blood, the whole nine. She ends up shooting something and blowing up the lander. The lander goes all to hell. And then they meet David. And he takes them to a hideout where they quote-unquote should be safe, which obviously they're not. And nobody at all says, hey David, what's all this shit? Okay, because the whole point of this movie is they don't know any of this stuff. They don't know there's aliens. They don't know there's planets they can go to other than the one specifically that they were headed to. They had no clue. So now they find this AI robot son of a bitch, and nobody says, gee, what are all these big statues? What happened here? They literally walk through this graveyard of charred, dead remains or whatever of these beings that had been completely decimated by whatever this thing is. They just walk by it and they're like, oh, whoa. And then they sit there and talk to each other while David and the other AI robot go and play the fucking piccolo. I was like, what the fuck? They literally sat there for 15 minutes playing the goddamn piccolo. And these guys are like, what do we do? I don't know. Oh, okay. And what the fuck? That, to me, I thought was the stupidest part of the movie. I'd be like, hey, motherfucker, what the hell happened here? And then they show what happened in a cutscene. He didn't explain it to nobody. It was just some random scene. And then the good AI realized what was going on. I thought that was kind of cool. And they had the AI, you know, the robot versus robot battle. That was kind of cool. Although, whatever. So yeah, that part I would give probably, I'd almost say 4 out of 5 in that sense. Just as far as like the story beats and the concepts that were taking place, I would literally give that part a 4 out of 5. Collectively, I'd say this is probably a 6 to 7 out of 5. I liked it, but I didn't love it, but it was good. I mean, it was at least... It was a step up from Prometheus. It just didn't look as good. Now, visually, I would give Prometheus a 10 out of 10. I mean, I think the whole movie looked really good. Just cinematography, the whole 9 looked really, really good. Where this didn't really have a lot of that stuff. I mean, it really didn't. There were no big fancy splash page scenes. There was nothing like that. Nothing that just really gets you excited. It was kind of run-of-the-mill in that regard. So, visually, I'd say it's probably about a 6. So, yeah, concepts, I'd give it about a 4. Just overall story concept, I'd give it a 4. If that. That might even be a little high. But collectively, overall, I'd have to say it's about a 7. Maybe an 8. I didn't hate it. Where Prometheus is another one. That one's weird to me. I don't know how I would rate that one, because, like I said, there's one whole section in the middle that just... But the whole beginning was so cool. It's like, okay, this is interesting. I'm invested in this. It looks great. I love the way it looks. I want to see more. Okay, it's a cool concept. The dude just kind of crumpled into, shit and went into the water. What's going on? What does this have to do with the aliens? So on and so forth. Who are these people? And then over the course of the 2 movies, they explain who they are. And you see what happened to them. So, yeah, I mean, I think this was a good sequel. Let's put it this way. I think this was a damn good sequel as far as if you're taking Prometheus and this as a collective. I think it's a very good sequel. It's a standalone movie, and I definitely a good sequel. Definitely a good sequel. Where I don't even really think Alien 2 is that great of a sequel. I mean, as far as just continuing on, it was like, okay, she got home and, gee, they're going to send her back. Okay, well, okay. At least this had some semblance of, whatever. Now, although I guess in a way, this essentially at the beginning of the ship, what I'm trying to work through in my head is the ship had some technical difficulties at the beginning. And was it just dumb luck? Or did he do something? I mean, could he have done something to send out that kind of a burst? I don't know. I don't know if it was him. I don't think it was. I think it was just dumb luck that they ended up, stopping and then randomly getting the message. Yeah, I think that's what it was. No, actually, he couldn't have done anything. No, because they were like a week a week to 2 weeks out. So yeah, I don't think he could have done anything. Although, who knows what kind of technology they had, too. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I think it was just dumb luck that the one guy ended up finding or getting the... I'll tell you one thing, though. When he's out in space... it could have looked so much better. And if they had done the Prometheus with that scene where they're fooling around in space trying to get this sail fixed, they could have done some really, really cool shots. And it's just, there aren't any. It's just kind of like, oh, we're out here, whatever. Dude, I don't know, man. I'd be shitting my pants. Especially the one dude. He's floating back. He's got the little thrusters and he's floating back. All of a sudden, the HUD in his helmet starts going all fucking crazy, and he's seeing this like image and shit. He's like, "What's that? What the fuck is that? Or what the It's like you're in the middle of space, bro. Okay, and your HUD is fucked up. That is not the time I want my HUD to fuck up. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say on that shit." And he's just like, "Huh, what the hell is that?" That was just kind of dopey too. So there's definitely some dumb, not really well portrayed ideas. I mean, again, the dude is in space. I don't know how many spacewalks he's done. I don't know how many spacewalks anybody could do. I mean, the motherfucker wasn't even tethered to the ship. He's floating in space with a little thruster pack on. He's heading back to the front door, and he can't see shit. And all of a sudden, there's this weird noise and shit, and he's starting to see this like holographic image and stuff, and he's just pretending like, must have been a malfunction. Don't know where that came from. Dude, I don't know. That was a little stupid too. I don't know. Again, it's just visually the movie did nothing for me. Or Prometheus did. I love the way Prometheus looked. Like that's a movie you want to see in 4K. That's a movie you want to see, HD Blu-ray. That's definitely a movie you want to see at its full potential. Well, this one really didn't feel like that kind of a movie. Like if they had a 4K version, I'd be like, because there was nothing to see. Like you take Gravity. There's that one really fucking cool scene where she's like, I don't know. I like that movie. I did. I liked that movie. And that one scene where she's just floating there, it's so cool. I love the cinematography of that. Just like, that is so cool to me. And I wish there was moments like that in this movie where it's like, okay, she looks badass with a gun and she's like, hey, she's going after the alien or something. I don't know. I didn't really see that. I didn't really see anything there that really jumped out and spoke to me like, oh, I want a still of that. I want to put that as a backdrop on my computer kind of a thing. There was none of that. So, to me, that was kind of a letdown. So, anyways, what else was there? I didn't really think the story itself was bad, although the beats of the story, like the narrative concepts of the story, were very, very played out. But, I mean, it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just, we've seen every aspect of that movie numerous times. I mean, it's like they're riffing on themselves. It's so bad. I mean, the whole franchise, the whole Alien franchise is riffing on itself. So, It's like there's a lot of problems with this movie, but there's definitely a lot of good. I don't know. The way I feel about this movie is very odd to me, because if I break it down section by section, there's not a lot of redeeming qualities to this movie. But for some reason, I liked it as a collective whole. I don't know why. I mean, I really don't. Like I said, I do think it's a good sequel. to Prometheus. I don't know if it's a good prequel to the original Aliens. I don't know if I'm going to go that far. But, like, if I took Prometheus as a standalone movie conceptually, again, there was a little bit of shit toward the middle. But if I took it as just a standalone movie that wasn't associated with the Alien franchise, I think it was an okay movie in that regard. I think it was okay in the sense of the story it was trying to tell. Minus, a few missteps here or there, especially in the middle section. But like, this movie is a standalone. This was a good Alien movie. It wasn't great, but it was good. Where Prometheus was not a good Alien movie. It wasn't even an Alien movie at all. I mean, yeah, it was about aliens, but not the aliens that we're talking about in this franchise. This was not a good Alien movie. Or Prometheus was not, but Covfefe was a great Alien movie. Well, I don't want to say great. I don't want to go that far. I'd say it's a little better than generic. Slightly above generic in that regard. Again, I don't know. It's like I'm trying to work out my feelings here, and it's just, it ain't working. Again, did I hate the movie? No. Did I love the movie? I'm glad I got it. It's a nice accompaniment to Prometheus, and it does sort of bridge the gap between Prometheus and Alien. So I kind of like that. So yeah, it sort of did what it had to do. It made Prometheus seem viable. Where Prometheus, you take the Alien movie and then Prometheus was not viable as far as the Alien movie goes. This made it viable. I'm not saying it was necessarily done perfectly, but it made it viable in the sense of, okay, I see where they're going with this. Where the way Prometheus ended, it was like, So I don't know, but I'm still trying to get my head around the fact that they're not just, the alien pods are not the original version of it, and I think that's going to set off a lot of people. I don't know how I feel about that. And for me, the biggest question that I have is, why are these spores there? Was it something that the humanoid people made to conquer and to kill us? Because it's insinuated that, actually I think they said it in the movie, that those humanoid guys created us and then wanted to use this virus to kill us, essentially. Now, I don't know, I didn't really get why that was. I have to pay attention a little better next time, I think, because I didn't get that part. I don't know if they fully explained it or if I missed it or what. Because like I said, I did fall asleep, and I have seen this before, but I wanted it fresh in my mind so that when I talk about this, I'm not stumbling around my words, which I'm currently doing right now. I've been doing that for 43 minutes, but, whatever. Yeah, I don't know. I got mixed feelings about it. I really have mixed feelings about this movie. Because, I'll state again, there are parts that are just kind of blah. But yet, it was still enjoyable for me. I mean, was it as good as the original? I can't say that, but there's some things that are better than the original. Obviously, like, this is more of a current film where that's not. It's definitely a period piece where you definitely feel It's the stuff like you take Star Wars 4, that opening sequence. Those guys look like they're wearing 70s outfits. Okay, and even when they try to do, when they try to bridge the gap from Rogue One, you still can't capture that 100%. You can't capture that 70s vibe. You know, the little goofy haircuts, the little mustaches. You know, you can't really capture that. And then the film quality, you can't capture that stuff. So, that's definitely here. Now, if they want to go back and redo... I don't want to say that. I don't even want to suggest that. Like, if they tried to redo the original Aliens, maybe even the original trilogy, using like a newer cast, so that you have kind of like the old version, but you have the newer version, and it's, I don't know. I mean, I think if they did it properly, they could do it right. Kind of like a remake, not a reboot, but a remake of the original series. But then I'd feel like crap, because it's like, no, you're not gonna replace that. Fuck you. Or the original should have a place in there. So again, I don't know how I feel, but it's, I don't know. It's the period piece that I'm referring to. It's the fact that it does feel dated, the original trilogy, and that kind of bugs me. But you get over it. Where I think that for the most part, production value, Prometheus was done very well production wise. That's definitely one of the high points. This movie too, production wise, was fantastic. You can't really ask for much more. Not that the production was bad in the original. I mean production in the sense of just... Well, again, you look at the original, the lighting is horrible. I mean, by today's standards, it's not that good. The quality's not that good. The film quality, that kind of stuff stands out a little bit. But the only way they could, you know... I mean, there's really no way to do that, because again, you've got the newer stuff and you got the older stuff, and they just don't jive. So it's like my mind has to get around, okay, this is a prequel, even though it looks newer, you know. But whatever. But yeah, you're gonna have to watch the fucker and you know, tell me what you think, because watching that fucker do what he did, it's just, it pisses me off. And I wonder if the fucking David robot wasn't the one who set up the Bishop models. That would be kind of cool. Because that organization wanted Ripley to go back and get samples, basically. So what if David somehow survived? Because he can't die. I don't know, that'd be kind of an interesting little twist. I don't know how it would work, but it'd be kind of an interesting little twist. Where he's the one who set that up. And he was kind of the man behind the scenes, where everybody thought it was, you know, Bishop was kind of the bad guy, but, or not bad guy, but you know what I mean. Yeah, I don't know. That could be an interesting little twist too. Like, but why would he do the Bishop model and not just, I don't know. Because he'll probably end up dying though. But that's speculation. But can you really kill an AI? So, I don't know. I mean, you fucker had his body blown off. Or ripped off, rather. He still survived that shit, so who knows. Yeah, never trust a fucking AI, dude. Don't ever trust a fucking AI. Although I did like the one, what the hell was his name? The one in this one, Covfefe. I kind of liked him. He's probably about the only interesting character of the bunch. Him and the one dude. The rest of them were just... I don't know, it just felt really odd to me. The characters... the acting and the actor choices. I don't know. There's something weird about some of the characters. And like I said, she's no Ripley. She's not even close. So that kind of bothered me. And not that I necessarily want her to be Ripley, but she definitely has to be like a precursor to Ripley. She has to be like a foreshadowing of Ripley. And I don't know if she did that. I don't know if she fell into that. Because they were going out of their way to try to make her Ripley, and I don't think she did it. Now, to be fair, she wasn't technically the main focus of this particular movie. She was toward the end and midway, but for the most part, she really wasn't the main focus. So if there's a third one and she's the main focus, maybe they could draw that out a little bit more and make her actually feel like Ripley, where she's literally taking control. Although she did take control at the end, but Ripley was an interesting character because she was super strong. I mean, literally super strong, and it wasn't something that, it was something she just was. And the circumstances brought it out of her. Where I don't know if this woman herself was like that. Because there's one moment where you see her and she's looking over one of her crewmates died, and she's got the gun and she's tears rolling down her. Like, I don't know. That just seemed kind of... It was interesting. Like, they were trying to make it seem endearing or something. I don't know, but it felt weird. Like, you don't see Ripley cry. You're not going to see... I mean, she may have had like a little breakdown or something when she got back to Earth or something. But she's not like bawling and tearing and, little streams running down her face as the aliens running through the ship. That was a little weird too when I think about it. Especially if they're making her a precursor to Ripley. Now, by doing that, I guess they set her apart from Ripley, where it's like, yeah, it's a precursor, but she's still a different, she's still her. And yeah, but she did not feel strong. Like Ripley, like I said, felt strong. She took charge, and it was like, fuck you. This is what we're gonna do. Where this woman was kind of... Now, to be fair, she was second in command for a while. Then she became commander. Obviously, they all died off. But I don't know. There just wasn't... It didn't feel like there was a lot of substance with her. Not that she was necessarily bad. I'm not knocking her as an actress, but they could have done a little more to make me care about her. And a little bit more... I mean, they tried. They definitely tried to make you care, but I just didn't care about her. Like, there's that scene where she's, tearing because her husband died. And they're going to build a little log cabin and blah, blah, blah. And she plays that thing on the iPad, and him and the husband's like, "Oh, I miss you," and blah blah blah. Again, they tried to make her endearing, and it just, I don't know. I didn't really care about her. I didn't really care about any of them. I really didn't care about any of them. So, yeah, I don't know. It's a weird, very weird little movie to me. As far as my feelings toward it go. But I'm definitely glad I own it. I'm definitely glad that it carried over from Prometheus and explained some of that shit and actually worked some of that shit out. And like I said, it is a nice transition. Like, if they don't make a third one, it's a nice transition into the original series. So that's at least a good thing. Because like I said, there was no transition from Prometheus. It was like, what the fuck are they doing? This is insane. What the fuck? I mean, Prometheus was a what the fuck. It was just a straight up what the fuck. Like I said, this does bridge a gap, and that is definitely needed. That was absolutely needed. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, overall, I kind of enjoyed it. Would I watch it again? Well, if I were to do an Alien weekend, I would probably watch. I would watch them all. I'd watch Prometheus. I'd watch Covfefe, and then I'd watch the original trilogy. And yes, I'd even watch the fourth one. So, oh, I don't know. Didn't they say the fourth one wasn't canon anymore or something? I don't know. I could be wrong on that. But, whatever. Anyways. Yeah, I think that's all I got to say. I do think it's worth watching, especially if you're an Alien fan. If you're an Alien fan, it's definitely worth watching. If you're not, I don't know. I don't know if it's... I've seen worse movies. Let's put it... Like, for example, if you had watched this in the theater in the summertime or whatever, whenever it came out, and you got the popcorn and the drink, and you're with, you know, your mother, your sister, your wife, girlfriend, whatever. Yeah, you make a nice day of it. It's a good movie. I've seen worse movies, believe me. I've seen worse movies. So, yeah, I don't know. I liked it, but it could have been better. That's how I'll end it. I liked it, but it could have been better. Which I guess you say the same thing about Prometheus as well. I liked it, but it could have been better. Anyways, you know what? Fuck you. That's it. That's all I got.